right, hey everyone, it's Joe Burgess, candidate for Leon County Schools for the superintendent. Um, First of all, just want to explain real quick why we moved from 5 to 5:30. Just going to be honest with you, it's a beautiful weekend, and I was watching the girls' championship game, and I think you deserve that opportunity as well. So, props to all the young ladies and all the appeal and the claim that they have had this year. So, just wanted to get that out the way. Also, I want to give a shout out to my members of my volunteer support team for being with me yesterday as we were in an unofficial capacity at the Springtime Tallahassee Parade. We had a chance to meet some wonderful people and really talk about the campaign and what we can offer and why we need change. So let's get down to the business. We got a lot to get through here today. We're talking about leading differently in these challenging times, right? So one of the first things that I tell my young leaders, and that's young leaders as in students, and then I tell my developing leaders that I have on the campus is, in order to lead, you must always lead with empathy. And that means think of others. Actually think of them as yourself. Be in their position. And when you do, it actually helps you lead. District leaders, as much as possible, they should articulate to the community what it is that they're trying to do and what it is, the mission that they're trying to serve. When we don't articulate our positions, we're saying we're just doing something. There is just a mistrust. There's a disconnect that happens with all the different stakeholders within the community. That means between the district and the schools. That means between the district and parents, district and community partners, and just your average citizens. And so we really need to get to a point where we articulate why we're doing something in great detail. And because they're our taxpayers, they deserve to know why we do certain things. The district needs to have clear goals of what is important that they want for their students, for their schools, for the achievement, something that I've been talking about over and over and over, the achievement in schools. How do we make that better? You need to make sure that every constituent out there understands that. I don't care if you got 5 cents in your pocket or you got $5 billion in your pocket. You need to be able to explain to your constituents why we're doing certain things. What is our goals? What are our objectives? And how do we get there? Right now, we're not doing that. And when we're not having a clear mission and vision and goals, when we have tough decisions and tough things that are going on, or some budget issues and budget choices, people don't understand why you've made those choices. I can just tell you this from other administrations. I will just say this. There was a time when I was a principal, and I've been a principal, during this time of a budget crunch. And when we were going through the recession, when it was much worse, we protected positions. Your human capital, your human assets are the most important asset that you actually have within a district. You know, new buildings, they're nice. You need to have them, but the most important thing you can do is protecting the position, because those people make the magic happen. It's not the building that makes the magic happen. It's the people that work with them that make the magic happen. Human capital is the most important asset that we have within our school district. So part of being a leader and leading differently in this time and age is sometimes you have to work with people who maybe you're not friends or you don't like, but that means also that we talk with a respectful tone to other leaders who control resources that come into our district. I tell my staff all the time, there may be members of the district who they don't like me, I may not like them, but it doesn't matter. We have to put that to the side, because I have to put personal stuff to the side, because I'm here for my kids. I'm here for my community. And just like a district leader, you got to put that to the side, because when you are having this back and forth with other leaders, it ends up affecting and impacting those who live right here. Put your stuff to the side. Nobody cares about that. Can you get the resources that we need for our kids? Nobody's asked. I don't ask anybody. I don't need them to send me a Christmas card. I got enough friends and family. I'm good, but I also need to make sure I'm speaking respectfully and tactfully to everyone on behalf of the Leon County School District. So as leaders, one of the things that we really are struggling to get in place is studying, researching trends that may be working well within our county. Like if we have successful schools, how do we replicate those ideas to others? But are we looking at research and trends that occur outside of Leon County schools? Are we really? Are we looking at that? Are we humbling ourselves to do that. One of the programs that I run at my school is something called Ambassadors. I did not create this idea. Believe it or not, I got it about 10 years ago from a rural school in Missouri. You have to humble yourself. I went to a national conference. I was wanting to listen to ideas to help my school even be more successful. You should never take a day off from learning about things that are going to impact your school. Don't be afraid to do that. But right now, we're not at a point where we're going out and doing research and getting the best and latest and bringing it back here to Leon County. So continuing on, like I said, we're talking about leaders and policymakers. You got to talk with people, like I said, again, who you may not agree with. Having meetings with those on a different side of the aisle, another side of the aisle. Now, I'm independent, which means everybody's on a different side of the aisle from me. But I do that. That's the way I run my school. I don't care about where you are. I just care about how can you help my kids. Okay. And that means respecting and appreciating the person sitting across from you. That doesn't mean you got to like them. You just have to respect them. Another things we need to do is continue to build strong relationships within our community and in support of our students. You have to, the agencies, whether those are government agencies or private agencies, we have to build those relationships. We have to build those capacities, those networks. People have to feel like they can believe in us and feel like we listen to them. It's not a one-way street when we're talking as the Leon County School District. We have to also appreciate the partners that are out there and what they have to offer and what they have to say. We really need to build that up. We have too many relationships that they go on personal relationships. Like I said, put that to the side. I must put my feelings or anybody else's feelings to the side, and we need to sit down and get things done for our kids. When we're looking at leadership and what we need, right now we don't have a way that we have a leadership pipeline. And I say this, and I have friends that I have meetings with, colleagues, but we really don't have a leadership pipeline, and it really is a detriment to our school system. We don't have a dashboard. We don't have anything that says the skills that you're putting in display and then putting those leaders in the right places. Many times we put leaders in the most difficult circumstances with the newest movement into leadership positions. And that's not fair to them or even fair to the community. We need to be serious about the leaders, the teams that we have around the leaders to help the schools be successful. It's just like when you decide to put teachers in a certain classroom or at a certain grade level, especially you're talking about elementary, right? Who's going to be on that third grade team? Who's going to be on that kindergarten team, right? It really matters, like who's going to get these opportunities and where, based upon your skill level. We have to be honest about what skill level that you have. And so once we do that, we really can target who's going to be the best fit for schools, go in there, what kind of team do they need to have, right? This principal has one set of skills, let's bring in the AP has another set of skills. And really intentionally look at that, have conversations with that principal about what's going to be on the forefront of the issues that they have to tackle within that community. So continuing on, we really got to look at ways of providing some kind of time for legitimate principal internships supported by principal coaching. And I really mean that. I could easily be sitting here and just talking about teacher this and teacher that. We actually got to build the capacity of the leaders to work with the teachers. Okay? As in, first of all, make sure your leaders were good teachers. Now, I'm not trying to call people out, but I will tell you, I got it done in the classroom. I'm a former teacher of the year, which means I had to be recognized by my peers in order to be said so. But I will just tell you this, the same way I work in the classroom, the same way I do as an administrator. But as an administrator, you really should have been an excellent teacher in order to move up into that leadership role. Because being honest with you, teachers not going to respect you if you haven't done the work that they have. That's the truth. I say that as a former teacher, just being truthful. What kind of teacher were you? How did you lead students inside of that room when nobody else was in there? How did you do it? And they're going to look to you as a leader. And I promise you, they're going to call around to find out what kind of teacher you were. So we have a responsibility to make sure we're finding that in our leaders. The whole thing about people waiting their turn, listen, there's two parts to that. First of all, The district's not obligated just because somebody's been waiting around that we got to give you a job just because you've been waiting around. Now, we also have an obligation, though, to be honest with you. If we haven't given a job, why haven't we given you one? And secondly, what are the skill sets that you need to build up in order to get the position, right? We need to have frank discussion. That person needs feedback. Because if we're not having an honest, frank conversation with that person, the people who support that person who's looking for the job also believe that we as a district do not support our employees. So it's on two levels, right? I'm not just going to give you a position, but if I don't, I need to have real, sincere, concrete discussions about what it takes for you to be better. We also need to develop a consistent process for choosing our leaders. Part of that consistent process is the criteria needs to be same year after year. It doesn't need to change. Everybody needs to know what the markers are. They need to know what they're working towards. And then we also really need to work with our leaders about getting everything that we say that principals need to be in charge of. They need to be looking at it as their APs building up to become principals. It is truly important. Many times we have principals, the first time they saw a staffing, which is the budgeting for positions, is when they became a principal. And then we say, go out there. We think you're going to do a good job. It's sort of like telling a teacher, well, I want you to go out there, but we never work with you on lesson planning, but we know you're going to get it done. It's such a critical component to them being successful. We got to talk about it beforehand. We got to make sure that they know it, make sure they have a command of the subject matters that they're going to see as a principal. But also, how do they deal with things like crisis management, right? And there's different levels of crisis. There's a crisis of like when you have a kid who rode home on a bus in elementary school and that kid didn't show up at the house. That is a crisis, right? There's crisis of like somebody did something bad on campus. How do you handle that? How do you work through that? Death of an employee, death of a student. But we need to talk to our leaders and not just be, hey, get on the phone once you're inside the principal's role and good luck. Hopefully somebody picks up and talks to you. We need to have the conversations before they even take the role, okay? When we do things like that, we give the community, they have more belief that the leaders are going to be ready to take on all the issues. And when crisis moments happen, they'll respond and they'll stay calm and not just react, where people begin to lose faith in the leader. And that's not fair to them because they don't have all the requisite skills in order to help the community. So moving on, when we're looking, talking about leading in the district, leading at the school, so there's a lot of things that blend together, right? So part of that is when we have huge things going on, there used to be a time that we had collaborative committees where leaders got a chance to, especially school leaders got a chance to give input on things that were happening within the district. I'll give you an example. So during the recession, it was told to us that there was a potential of jobs being cut. They brought principals out and we all said, look, you do what you can to save positions. Matter of fact, we don't want to lose a single position. And every principal, at least the ones that I was in the room with when we met with district leadership, and it was actually at the time, Dr. Marvin Henderson, we all said we would take on multiple district jobs, actually help out the district. And we're saying as principals, we would take on additional roles to save money, like eliminate positions at the district so that we could save positions at the school. Now, we do that because the most important position is the ones at the school, because they're the ones that directly impact the kids. That's not saying everybody's job, they're not important. I just said most critical to the learning needs of the students, remember, and that's why we're here, the students. So we made that offer. The district took us up on that, which helped save dollars and save positions. So we were willing to do that. But the problem that we have currently is the collaboration, asking for input and feedback, and then meaningful action that happens from that. Many times we've been allowed to talk, but it's just been for that. It's allowed us to talk just so we can shut up and move on. But has that helped the kid? No. Listen, if we're giving ideas, and like I said, many of us have been doing this, 10 plus years, and some of us like me, 15 plus years. We need more than that. We need meaningful change from those conversations. We also need to make sure that we have a system of just collaborative energy, positive climate. We don't have that right now. It's just really difficult. People are afraid to speak up. People are afraid to come forward. Everybody's just worried, and it's just. I think if some of you just behind closed doors just talk to the leaders, I promise you, what they're not going to say is everything's going great. They're not going to say that. Okay, I challenge you to go out there and talk to them. When you're managing your school, you need to talk about care and concern for the school and appreciation, as in we should not be loving our communities into failure. We should be loving them into success, which means being honest about the community that we serve, the needs that they have, and then the critical strategic steps that we can do in order to move them forward. And many times our leaders, we need a long conversation before this happens. Right now, we assess leadership teams once the school year starts. We need to change that. We need to be talking to our leadership teams in the summer before the teachers come back. What are your plans? How are you going to improve? For some folks, it's going to be how do you improve your grading? For others, it's like how you're close to an A. How are we going to get to an A? We should be always talking about how we're improving, and you should never settle. Even if you're the school, like I did years ago, and I moved the school from a C to an A, you should not be satisfied. You should then be saying, what's the next move? What thing do we have to do differently? As soon as you get comfortable with what you have done, kids are losing out. So we can't just fall on that. We can't just pat each other on the back. Real leaders won't have time for that. All right, you can pop champagne when you retire. As for the rest of us, we got to get back to work. Really, we do. You do a little bit of like, hey, good job. You tell the others, but for leaders, we get back to business because it's about the kids at the end of the day. I would also like to tell you that we need to go back to our, at one point we used to have this and we need to do it again, which is community conversations. We've done town halls and been town halls with teachers, but we need the true community conversations. Me as a leader, I should be able to go to any community, stand there and take it. Ask me any question. Should be able to say it. And we should be able to address it. Okay? And that's with the public, not just with our teachers. Absolutely. Teachers, staff members, they should have their shot at it too. But we should be able to talk to our public. Our public tax, we are a public service entity. We should be talking to our public about what we do and answering questions. They don't have to be all the time, but it should be periodic. And people should have a chance to talk to our leaders. Right now, your best shot at talking to the leaders is begging for 3 minutes at a meeting, or hopefully you're out there at the parade getting some candy. That's your chance to talk. We got to do better than that. Also, we want to talk about if there's one thing we really need to be addressing when it comes to these budget cuts, and just talking about from the school and district level, and I'm going to say this again, it is protecting the human asset. If anything, we should not be talking about cutting any kind of teacher positions. You should have other positions that you should be trying to eliminate, but never the ones that are going to impact students. Budgets are nothing but decisions. If you think about your household, when you make a budget, you're prioritizing what is important. Nothing is more important than the people that we have helping to support our students, always. And we should be able to explain that. You should be able to support and defend that all the time. Doesn't mean people always like it, but they will understand and they'll respect it. At the school level, all right, switching up. First of all, make sure that we have leaders that are training up their teachers, their staff members to become leaders themselves. Sometimes there are leaders who never want to move into administration, and there are other leaders who want to move into administration. You still should be training all of them. And if they want to move into administration, you need to be honest with them. For example, your responsibility is going to change. Your work hours are going to change if you plan on being a leader within this district, within this school, or within this district. We need to be honest with them. Like one of the things that I say to my teachers that I want to move into administration, can you get rid of your friends? Sometimes your friends stink. Real leaders, they have to say, you're not doing good enough. And you have to tell them, because who are you supporting? You're supporting your friends, you're supporting the kids. Kids come first. You have to be honest with them and frank with them. Okay? We also need to cross-train our leadership teams. There are people who feel like, oh, I only do curriculum. I only do attendance. I only do discipline. Nope, you need to touch them all. And we also need to be training you up, just like all of you at some point are going to be the principal. There are some that want to go and say, look, I'm good at being an assistant principal, but actually your title, assistant, means in lieu of the principal. So if the principal's out, you could be the one in charge. If you don't know those other areas, how in the world can you actually be running the school? You can't be afraid to take on that. That's part of your job as being a leader. Okay. We also need to look at the things that sometimes we pigeonhole people into. If you're a male, we always talk about you doing discipline. If you're a female, we always talk about you doing curriculum. Really? That's not best schools. We need to look at your skill set. But we also need to make you touch the different areas. Get a little taste of that. There's a little appreciation that comes along. A great scheduler knows the discipline and may adjust the schedule to help out with the discipline. They work together. We also need to look at, in our buildings, our teachers, if you ask them, there's a few things about our system that they would tell you when it comes to leaders. One, we're not developing enough leaders or leaders with capacity. They're not ready to meet the leadership needs. This is coming from our educators. Leaders have experience gaps. Sometimes they know that, right? Besides, when I was talking about cross-training, we should be talking about different levels. Many times we send a leader to a level they've never seen it before. We should be exposing all of our leaders to different levels. I try sending mine to different schools. Go get a taste of it, because that's actually where the next assignment may be. You just never know where they send you. And so part of that is we need to train them on different levels. We shouldn't be like, I only can do this level.
Grade levels.
Grade levels, I'm sorry. Yes. So some people feel like I'm only high school level 9 through 12. Some of us feel like they're only middle school 6 through 8. And some feel like they're only elementary pre-K through 5. Leaders should be able to work all of those grade levels in those different types of schools. You just have to be prepared. The opportunity is before you. We also need to have, leaders also need to be willing to humble themselves and also have some trust in their teachers, but also build the teacher capacity. And that means when you're doing walks of learning, we learn together. One of the ways that a leader can be seen well by their teachers is humbling themselves before teachers. And we really need to encourage that. Right now, there's a big disconnect. We need to work on that to build up, especially in our most challenging situations. We really need to do that. We also need to promote professional development with teachers and with leaders. Professional development. They need to get out. They need to go to talk to other leaders who are not us. Go talk to other experts to build their capacity and have them bring that back, bring that talent back, share it. Okay. When we get more of that, we get more for our kids. And I will say this just from a leadership level, we need to make sure when people leave the district, we need to give them an exit interview. We need to ask them, why did you leave? And we got to be able to handle what they say. Sometimes they may say something terrible about you, but you need to hear it. It's coming from their perspective. Maybe it's skewed, but it's something that you need to hear. You know, part of getting feedback is it's not always going to be great to you. That's part of feedback. You just need to hear it, take it in, get better from it. So I need to move on just a few topics, and I'm going to let you guys get out of here. So I have this. We hold that up. This is a memo from January 12th. It is from Mr. Will Spillius. He is our general counsel. And this is not about Mr. Spillius. This is about Mr. Spillius doing his job, which I thought he did a great job, which is alerting our district about politics inside of the school district. Now, I will say it's a bit ironic that that email did come out just a little short time after I had announced for superintendent. And I think it was for anybody that was supporting me. They tried to wrap it up with everybody else, but it was like if they were supporting me, hey, we can't be doing that here on the school district campus. Now, I will tell you, I really wish they had taken this memo and the district had sent it to themselves. District leadership has sent it to themselves along with probably the school board. Let me tell you why. Recently, there was a campaign. I'm sorry, I need to back up. We had our Volunteer of the Year banquet. Very nice job by Kelly Walker and her staff. We were at Leon High School. I'm just going to tell you, The superintendent campaigned for a couple of board members, which is totally inappropriate. He also gave a campaign speech, totally inappropriate. Everything I'm saying to you right here, I would say it to him. I have no cares about that because it is inappropriate. Part of us being leaders is making sure we hold ourselves to account. And like when people are outside our purview, like we do the right things. And matter of fact, if you want to mess up while people are in front of you, I am really worried about what you're doing when nobody's looking. Okay. So that was one thing. So he campaigned for himself. He campaigned for 2 board members. Now, for those of us running for office, but maybe we need to have these opportunities. Let me get on the mic so I can campaign a little bit at these same events. All right. Also, listen, if we're going to have Leon County Schools in springtime Tallahassee events, we should have nobody wearing paraphernalia from a campaign. Like you should be wearing a school shirt or an LCS shirt because it's an LCS thing. It shouldn't be individual campaign. I'm sorry, and I'm just being honest with those. Like if you was wearing campaign stuff, that was wrong. And you should have somebody on your team telling you. Okay. I could have been in the parade with the combined school band, but I was wearing my Joe Burgess for Leon County School Superintendent shirt. And guess what? I couldn't walk with them because I am for myself, which means they should have been on the side with me talking to potential voters. No disrespect. I'm just telling the truth. I know they meant well, but we need to do better about knowing the rules. If we're going to send out an email, send it all district staff and kind of like a, coming after you kind of deal, then we need to do that with our board members. I also want to talk about, recently it came up about fired staff members from Lincoln High School. And this is not about calling out Lincoln. I promise you, it's not about that. We love all the fellow high schools. What I am calling out is, and I don't know if this is the media and I don't know if it's school district or both, but I will say this. I think it's unfair that we have some schools, when they have an employee issue, their names are put out all over the place. Facebook, other parts of the internet, on the news, repeatedly, in the paper, their names are put out. There's this issue, no names put out. Now, I need to know why is it a special circumstance in this case that names don't go out, and this is in other situations, and then in some others, names always go out. You need to be fair to your employees. When things happen, do it the same. Every time. Don't have a special circumstance for this versus this. It needs to be the same way every time. And every employee needs to know that and say, hey, we know at least you're treating them fair. Maybe somebody did something wrong and I hate what happened to my friend, but they're treated the same. That did not happen in this case. You go look at the clippings from, you pull up school system and stories that come up, see how often you see a name in there versus these few times when there are not names in there. Just don't know why that happened. And somebody needs to explain that. Also, before I move on too much, we need to make sure we're taking a look soon. You'll be looking at things like graduation rates, the research. Here's something I'm going to tell everybody out there. Talk to your friends. This includes people who are supporting me. Man, please don't support me just because, hey, man, I like that guy. It needs to be more than that. Like, what are you doing for the kids? So what I challenge you is take a look at my record. So I'm actually going to use superintendent's thing on this. Take a look at my record. Look at my record. Look at his record. Look at his time in school. Look at my time in school. And look at the different schools and the way I produce with students. But also look at where Leon County Schools, their graduation rate has been over the last few years. Is it doing this, going up, or is it doing this? And you got to ask yourself, is that the future that we want? I know what I want for our kids. I want all our kids to succeed and be successful here in Leon County. And that's what I asked you to do. Go do your research. As far as the next topic that we have coming up, we'll be on live next Monday. We'll definitely send out your time. We're going to be talking about our 1010 staff members. I know they've been looking for that love out there. It will be all about you. So I will promise to address some of the issues that you guys have had going on. Appreciate your patience and let me get through all these other topics. You are to be valued. You are important to how we get things done in this district, and we absolutely will make you the next topic. Before I get off, just a reminder, this is a grassroots campaign. We need every dollar, we need every bit of volunteer support. So we have our website, electjoeburgess.com. When you go there, you can sign up to volunteer. We will need you. There's a long summer. There's lots of things we'll need your help with. Every bit of donation that you can give helps us get our word out, get our message out. has us prepared to go point for point to make sure we can dispel some less than accurate things that may be put out by others. But we need all your help and support. So make sure electjoeburgess.com, you go out there and make sure, and do me a favor, share the live. Share our live. I'm talking about the issues. I'm going to talk about it all the time, and I'm looking for your feedback. So enjoy the rest of this weekend. Y'all have a great day.